Every industrial facility is defined by its physical perimeter. That property line dictates exactly which federal agency has jurisdiction over a hazard. Inside the fence, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration holds authority. Governed by Title 29 of the Code of Federal Regulations, OSHA's mandate is strictly internal, protecting the worker while they are on the clock. As an agency housed within the Department of Labor, OSHA's regulatory power is rooted directly in the employer-employee relationship. Once a hazard crosses outside that fence, jurisdiction shifts to the Environmental Protection Agency. Operating under Title 40, the EPA's mandate is external, protecting the public, the air, and the water from industrial byproducts. While OSHA allows states to operate their own approved state-level safety programs, the EPA operates as an independent federal agency with universal national jurisdiction. A single industrial mistake triggers both of these regulatory frameworks at the exact same time. Navigating liability means understanding exactly where Title 29 ends and Title 40 begins. This diagram maps a hypothetical scenario where a chemical tank ruptures inside a warehouse, releasing a toxic vapor plume. The moment the vapor enters the breathing zone of unprotected workers inside the building, OSHA's Air Contaminant Standard, 1910.1000, immediately applies. When the facility's internal emergency crew responds to contain the spill, their actions trigger compliance with OSHA's Hazardous Waste Operations and Emergency Response Standard, or HAZWOPER. Fluids and vapors rarely stay contained. As the plume drifts out the open bay doors and the liquid leaches into a parking lot storm drain, the hazard crosses the property line. Crossing that physical threshold instantly activates the EPA's jurisdiction, bringing the facility under environmental statutes like RCRA for hazardous waste and CERCLA for environmental contamination. This creates a unique legal gap known as the public sector paradox. Federal OSHA lacks authority over state and local government employees. A municipal water worker or local emergency responder without a state OSHA plan has no federal protection under Title 29 when responding to the spill. To close this loophole, the EPA enforces 40 CFR 311. This is a nearly identical environmental version of OSHA's HAZWOPER standard, enacted specifically to protect public sector responders under environmental law. Industrial hazards do not respect property lines. Because a liquid flows and a gas expands, regulatory liability transfers seamlessly from one agency to the other in real time. In the 1980s and 90s, a series of major industrial disasters forced the federal government to move beyond reacting to accidents and mandate proactive hazard management systems. OSHA developed the Process Safety Management Standard, or PSM, triggered when a facility handles highly hazardous chemicals above specific weight thresholds. PSM is designed strictly to protect on-site employees and contractors. Congress simultaneously required the EPA to develop the Risk Management Program, or RMP. It is triggered by similar chemical volume thresholds, but its purpose is entirely outward-facing, protecting the surrounding community and ecology. This diagram outlines the overlapping framework. Despite their different target audiences, both PSM and RMP require facilities to implement 14 core management elements, including process hazard analysis, mechanical integrity checks, and incident investigation. The primary operational difference lies outside that shared center. The EPA's Risk Management Program requires an off-site consequence analysis. Facilities must mathematically model worst-case release scenarios to predict exactly how a chemical cloud or explosion would impact local neighborhoods. Housing a single regulated chemical in a single tank forces a facility to build two parallel compliance architectures, satisfying two different agencies to protect two entirely different sets of victims. If a facility keeps inventory just below the strict poundage thresholds required to trigger PSM or RMP, they avoid the administrative burden of those specific programs. They do not achieve immunity. Both statutes contain a general duty clause, the ultimate federal safety net for uncodified hazards. OSHA's version is Section 5A1 of the OSHA Act. It broadly requires employers to provide a workplace free from recognized hazards that are causing or are likely to cause serious physical harm. The EPA's version is Section 112R of the Clean Air Act. It places a general duty on owners handling other extremely hazardous substances to assess environmental impacts and design safe facilities. Both agencies use these general duty clauses to enforce voluntary industry consensus standards. If a recognized engineering organization publishes a safe operating practice, federal inspectors treat that practice as binding law. Technical exemptions based on chemical volume provide no cover. Failing to uphold general industry safety practices leaves a facility fully exposed to severe federal citations. The ultimate risk of dual jurisdiction is the radically different way OSHA and the EPA calculate financial penalties. This chart shows how OSHA generally assesses fines. Penalties are assigned per violation, and while they scale based on severity, they are strictly capped by statutory maximums set by Congress. The EPA operates on an entirely different scale. Environmental fines can be assessed per violation, per pollutant, and per day of noncompliance. There is virtually no ceiling, allowing penalties to multiply exponentially into the millions. Attempting to compartmentalize compliance or hide a violation from one agency to avoid the other is no longer a viable strategy. Under the Department of Justice and Department of Labor's Worker Endangerment Initiative, prosecutors are encouraged to use Title 18 and environmental statutes to pursue workplace safety violations. This strategy elevates what might be a misdemeanor worker safety citation into a felony environmental crime with much harsher sentencing. Operationally, this is driven by a 1990 Memorandum of Understanding between the EPA and OSHA. The agreement mandates joint inspections for high-risk sectors and requires automatic cross-referrals. If an OSHA inspector spots an environmental leak, they report it directly to the EPA. A single localized safety citation can instantly trigger a multi-million-dollar facility-wide environmental audit. The corporate tradition of keeping safety officers completely separated from environmental leads is an outdated and massive financial liability. Surviving the modern regulatory landscape requires an integrated approach. Professionals must be capable of navigating both sides of the fence, understanding how a hazard impacts the worker, the community, and the balance sheet simultaneously. Let us know in the comments, in your specific industry, which agency is more difficult to satisfy, OSHA or the EPA? The physical fence line of an industrial plant is a regulatory illusion. To master the complete compliance picture, subscribe to HSEstudy.